Stay tuned, friends, as we dive into what I learned from podcasting for a year. What's up, friends? Welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I'm your host, Paul Dittis, a content creator, YouTuber, podcaster, and speaking of podcasting, I've now been doing it for about a year. I think it's over a year now. I think YouTube just gave me the year anniversary for having a YouTube for the podcast. So I'm super excited about that. And today I want to share what I've learned along the journey of having a podcast, a video podcast for that long. I'm going to give you details into what I use to create the podcast, some of the stats that I've had during the podcast. So basically, these are all the stats as of October 26, 2022. So this is episode number 48. If you count number 0, this is episode number 49. But basically, I've been pretty consistent, especially for the year 2022. I've been consistent about publishing an episode every single week. I'm hoping to continue that until the end of 2022. And who knows, maybe into 2023. I haven't decided yet. But till then, my friends, enjoy the ride. We've reached 53 countries that have downloaded the podcast. The views on Facebook, and this, I'm not sure if it includes short content because I posted short content on Facebook, but the views on Facebook is 20,673. And on YouTube, we've had a total of 4,838 views. And a total of 88 subscribers there. So, hey, it's a growing community there. I'm excited about that. The podcast listens, so this is like the downloads that I see, is 1,827. Instagram views, I couldn't find a great way to see like the total number of short, because, and I should tell you this, like I clip up this podcast, and I recommend this to anyone who has a podcast. If you have a podcast, number one, turn on the camera, because you can get so much content that you can share on all your different platforms that it just makes sense, because some people might not even realize that you have a podcast. And so being able to clip that podcast up and distribute it on the different platforms, it's just, why not? And it takes, not too much time, and the reach that you'll see as a result is amazing. So unfortunately, I do not have the total number, but basically over like a 90-day period, I've seen numbers around 90,000, so close to 90,000. And then on TikTok, yes, we post them on TikTok as well. It's like, if you already have the content, might as well post it on all the platforms that support short vertical content. I will say, however, I haven't been posting it as much on YouTube. I just felt like it cluttered up the YouTube feed when you had like a bunch of short content in there. And I wasn't seeing as great a result on YouTube. However, I'm tempted to try it again because I think they found a better way of managing the different types of content in the YouTube platform. As you'll notice, they now have tabs. I don't know if they're going to keep it. YouTube sometimes tests things out, but they have tabs now for like live. They have tabs for short content. So this might be a good way for creators to be able to create that content and it not, take up some of your regular video feed, because if someone's just looking for the whole podcast, that'd be really frustrating having to go through like 500 different short pieces to find one episode. So, on TikTok. So again, I don't think they had a great way to see the entire number of views. However, over like a 60-day period, it was about 8,395 views. That's what it was. And then we're super close to getting 600 followers on the TikTok, 597. So, and this is all organic. This is nothing like being paid, no paid promotions. And I haven't really like tried like putting it on many other places. It's just like organically on these platforms for the most part. Yeah. So, this is what it could look like if you pursue creating a podcast. You can reach a bunch of people by one piece of content every single week. So you create that big piece of content, the macro piece of content, and then you break it up into these short pieces of content that you can distribute on all these different platforms. So those are the stats. What are the takeaways? So number one, you can spread your reach by podcasting. So just based on those numbers, I recommend just creating clips. Take your macro piece of content, clip it up, put it on the different platforms, get other people on your podcast for two reasons. Number one, that'll help you expand your reach. But then number two, it'll help you develop more relationships, network with other people. It'll allow you to have conversations with people that you might not otherwise have been able to, because all of a sudden you have a platform that they might be they want to jump on. And then number, I'm just going on numbers. No. And then also another encouragement to you is to see if there's other podcasts that you can be on. Maybe you know people that have a podcast. Maybe you can ask them, hey, I've got a podcast. Would love to be on your podcast if you're interested. And like maybe you could do a guest exchange. And then another question that you might be asking yourself is, how long does this take? And my takeaway for you is it doesn't have to take that long, especially if you hand off a part of the puzzle. Even so, there are ways of cutting down the amount of time that it takes from idea to publishing. And I'm going to share some of those ideas with you to kind of help streamline. But basically, I can come up with a podcast and have it published in a matter of about 3 hours. And some of the things I'm going to share with you will help you do that. Number one, just keep a running list of ideas. Like that way, if you're got a week and you're like, I don't know what podcast topic to choose from, you can go through a list and see what sticks out to you, what you feel like you can talk about. It just helps so that you never run out of ideas. So always keep a running list of ideas. That's another takeaway. The other thing is make it as streamlined as possible. Don't make it hard for you to turn on the camera, hit record, whether that's on your camera or recording audio, whatever it is. Just make it as simple as possible, because otherwise you're going to spend more time getting set up every single time, and you're going to have more friction. And as we talk about a lot on this podcast, the more simple you can make the process, the better the more likely that you're actually going to get it done. Okay. And then, my friends, let's see what I've learned. So consistency, it's so important. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned, both from studying the topic of productivity and like becoming better at something, improving, is that consistency and the frequency of doing something is often more important than, trying to perfect one thing. If you do it more, you're more likely to get better faster. So fall forward. Don't just perfect one episode per month. I mean, you could, but if you're spending all your time perfecting one episode, you probably would be better off creating multiple episodes in that same amount of time. That's what I've heard from a lot of creators. So the other recommendation that I personally have been sort of following, sort of not, is picking a particular topic or niche for best success. And that's what I found, is that if you choose a particular topic or niche, you are more likely to get results, more views, more subscribers, because people follow things that resonate with who they are. So one thing I talk a lot about is minimalism, another productivity, tech. I would say like those are three things that I talk about pretty consistently. However, I haven't really like honed in on any one of those things or kind of designated. Maybe it's minimalism, tech, productivity for entrepreneurs. Maybe it's minimalism, tech, productivity for busy, if I narrowed that down and started making consistent content on one topic, I'm telling you, I'd probably get a lot further. However, I am not yet wanting to narrow down. And I think the reason being is that I'm just having way too much fun creating this for anyone who's listening to this. And I'm just creating this for the enjoyment and the learning process of it. And so as of right now, I have decided not to niche down yet. Not to say that won't happen eventually, but for right now, I've decided to keep it pretty broad, for better or for worse. But yeah, I've been enjoying making these, so that's what I've been doing. Okay, next up, we're going to be diving into the tools that I've used to make this podcast and make it available to you. Number one, the beginning, the ideation phase. And for this, I've used everything from a pen and paper, just jotting down ideas and then just hitting record, to having a long list in Notion and writing out all these ideas and sometimes creating the notes in there for the description and stuff. Currently I'm actually using mostly Apple Notes for writing down the podcast, script or outline, not really a script because it's long form. It would be a pain to write out an entire script for this. So those are kind of some of the tools that I use for the ideation and early stages of it. Then we'll dive into the creation tools. So the tech tools that we're using for this is right now it's an iMac. I've used the MacBook Pro as well. This is the MicTech CV4. It is an overkill mic. It's a studio quality, basically for recording studio kind of mic. I just had it around. If I didn't, I'd probably use a different mic, but since I have it, I'm using it. And then I've got the Motu M4. That's my recording interface that basically takes the signal from my mic and converts it to a digital format so that I can use it and in the video. So I'm recording this in Logic Pro right now. The camera that I'm using right now is the EOS R by Canon, and the lens on it is the Canon RF 35mm 1.8 f-stop, which I don't know. That's a great lens. It's like I found that 35mm is just like a good YouTube most situations lens. But yeah, it's my go-to lens for most things right now. Maybe if I expend my kit, I'll choose another one. But for right now, it's a nice lens. And then we have for editing the audio. So once I'm done recording this, I've got my audio file in Logic. I bring that into Adobe Audition and I edit the audio in there. I actually don't make any cuts there. And this might be fascinating for some people because a lot of people edit their podcasts in Adobe Audition. Like they make all the cuts in there. I don't. So I actually edit the audio completely, and then I'll bring the audio and the video file into my video editor. Right now, I'm using Final Cut Pro, but I've also used Premiere Pro in the past. Some of the things that I recommend if you're editing your audio of your podcast, always use the 2 times or 3 times, 4 times, whatever the X speed that you can stand. It just speeds up the process, because otherwise you're listening through basically an entire podcast episode, which is a lot of audio to get through. So I just recommend speeding up the process. Even video editing, it just makes things a lot easier if you speed it up. It'll help your process. Then once I get that edited, usually I start getting the thumbnail going. And so I'll usually take, if it's a YouTube video, I usually take pictures. I've tried it for the podcast, but just because I'm focusing on time and efficiency, I usually just grab a thumbnail from the podcast and I'll throw that into Photoshop, maybe cut it up, throw in other images that I find from some commercial free use sites. And then once I get that thumbnail done, typically I'll write a description for the episode if I haven't already. And I'll take the video file and the thumbnail. First place, you might upload it as YouTube, anchor.fm to go to all the podcast platforms, and then Facebook. The cool thing about YouTube is that if for a podcast, like right now, I've got it set so that it automatically takes, this is a Rumble feature, but Rumble is another video platform. And since they have this, I figured I'd just do it automatically. It automatically takes that video from, YouTube, and it posts it on Rumble. So it's like, might as well get it on one more platform, because, oftentimes there's search engines and you never know who might stumble across your podcast just because you had it on that extra platform that someone might choose instead of other ones. So yeah, it's just been a good learning experience, just going from just starting a podcast, being able to start messy. And that's my encouragement to you. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, be okay starting messy with all the mistakes. You're going to learn along the way. And who knows, not many people probably will go back to the episode number 1 if you've got like 10,000, not 10,000, tons of episodes. They'll probably handpick the ones that they like and don't like. They might go back to the first one. I tend to find that that's a thing. I've noticed that a lot of people like going back to the first episode just to kind of get the gist of what it was like in the early days. I'm pretty sure that's like one of the most popular episodes that I have is the first one. Yeah. So it's amazing. I've really enjoyed the process of making podcasts, and I hope that if you're interested in making a podcast, feel free to reach out. I'm at Paul Dittis on pretty much all the social media platforms. I'd love to hear about your idea for a podcast, and I'd love to see if I can help you with making a podcast, because it is something that I'm really passionate about. It was like one of the things that I wanted to do as a kid. Like, I had a book about podcasting. I recorded an episode. I just couldn't post it because back then my parents were scared of, the World Wide Web and all that stuff. But now have a podcast, created it, and super excited to be able to share it with you wherever you're listening in the world. That's about it. I am trying to think if there's anything else I can share with you about podcasting. Just enjoy the process, to be honest. Like, enjoy sharing the ideas. Because that's been the biggest win for me, is to being able to have a platform that I can easily create something that hopefully reaches someone, that can impact them in an important way. Because who knows, maybe it's the first time they're introduced to an idea. Hey, maybe this is the nucleus that helps you launch your first episode. Because if that happens, if you launch a podcast or start a creative endeavor, maybe you start a YouTube channel because of this podcast, that will have been a huge win, not only for you, but for me, just because I feel like if I can impart anything from the creative process to you and allow you to create something, that's definitely a win for me. So, because I just want to share ideas and tools that'll help you improve your life and improve the lives of those around you, because it's like a ripple effect. I might share an idea with you, you might share an idea with more people, and share that with those around you. Anyways, if you want to be part of the Messy Fam, be sure to rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, my friends, create a podcast and stay messy.